And here we are, the first episode back of Sport Chat 2021. Very excited to be back. We took a little bit of a hiatus to work on some things, but very excited about the future. And our first guest of 2021, Fitriya Mohamed, founder and executive director of Muslim Women's Summer Basketball League. She is changing sport each and every day. So excited to speak with you. Thank you for speaking with me.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk more to you about my story.
Absolutely. Fitriya, let's go back from the very start of your story. So you moved from Ethiopia to Toronto at the age of 10. Tell us about that experience and then why sport.
Thank you for the question and thank you for having me again. My story, how did it begin? When I first came to Canada, the world was brand new to me. I didn't speak English whatsoever. And my sport and my education journey actually began in elementary school because I got introduced to these two important things that are in my life right now. And, I came at a time when it was like the weather was, confusing, literally the sun, the snow, everything in one day when I first arrived to Canada. And yeah, like, I don't know, the experience is in a way exciting and different because in Ethiopia, I'm used to having rain and sun. Like the worst it could get to is like just rain all day, and over here it was like snow, just so much going on. I'm just like, what is this, And then there was a way I was actually reuniting with my mother for the first time in like forever, and with my siblings as well. And when I guess sport aspect, I got introduced when in elementary school. I felt like I didn't have to speak the language to actually learn the sport because my PE teacher was teaching the sport, and like in like grade 5, between 5 and like grade 8, throughout phys ed, they teach like 10 sports for the whole like school year, right? So me being introduced to this whole world, this whole sport world was like amazing for me because I was being introduced to all these sports that I never knew existed before. In Ethiopia, we were runners, like some of the best runners from around the world come from Ethiopia. And soccer, obviously, I knew because is a global sport. Other than those two things, I didn't know the other sports that existed. So in elementary school was a time where I actually discovered like all these other sports. And then over time, when I entered high school, I fell in love with basketball because my teacher, my coach, he was literally forcing all the girls to try out for the basketball team or any sport that he coached because he didn't want the sport teams not to happen. Because if there aren't enough girls, the teams don't happen, and that just shows that how passionate he was about the sport, and he believed in like the sport spirit of part of the school. And yeah, so before I was one of the girls that he forced to try out for the team. Elementary, I was just introduced to the sport. I knew how to dribble. I knew the basics. And in elementary, I literally didn't have to understand what the teacher was saying because in classroom, I was confused most of the time because I didn't speak the language to actually follow the instructions and read and all that. Like I was learning my ABCs, so move on to high school. I tried for the teams, and then I realized that like I actually liked basketball compared to all the other sports, and I ended up trying out for all the other teams that coach because he was just that coach that he didn't care who I was. He was just there to support me, and I discovered later on that I ended up getting better at all those sports because I felt like there was someone that believed in me. Although I don't know whether it was just like he wanted the teams to happen or like, but he's just that genuine coach that encourage all the girls. But I don't know, I saw it on a different level, and I wanted to take the sports out of my school teams and actually try to improve my games by attending community centers that had clinics for my sports, that being basketball. And yeah, I feel like my love for basketball began in high school. And yeah, that's in short. I feel like it goes all over the place, but that's how it all began.
Was there a certain moment with basketball that you said, this is why I've fallen in love with it?
I wouldn't say a moment, but I feel like the culture was more accepting compared to the other sport that I played. And I feel like I was able to share the experience with the other girls that look like me, because in Toronto, the teams that you play on, or most depending on the sport, they're like very diverse. And all the girls, maybe not in terms of my Islamic identity, but I was able to resonate with them in terms of my race and culture and whatnot. But so I don't know, I just felt like that sport was for me, because yeah, like I don't remember the exact moment, but I just knew I wanted to dedicate more time into it because I fell in love with the ball, like with
Mm,
literally hoops. Yeah.
that's awesome. And you touched upon your basketball coach. Was he a big mentor of yours growing with basketball?
Mm. Absolutely. I would say, um, like I said, any sport that he coached, I ended up following him, because I'm like, you know what, why not? I'll try out. Mr. Bowman is coaching it. I'll try out, because I feel like I kind of built that chemistry with him through basketball. And he was encouraging me to try. Yeah, but yeah, go try for that. You never know, you could be good at it too. Like he was just, encouraging me to try out for these things, and anything that was relating to sport that the school was hosting, he'll always like, Fitriya, come, I think you'd be great at this. Come and volunteer for this. Come and put this together. So, in terms of like, I guess me discovering my passion for like like wanting to be involved in the sport world, he was definitely that coach that encouraged me to, just experience everything. You never know what you could, come out with it. So I tried for like, well, sorry, I didn't try out for the yearbook, but like I was on the yearbook committee for like the sports director, whatever the positions were, a student council. Literally, I was everywhere that had to do with sport. And I would say, yeah, he definitely had a role in how I looked at things throughout high school. People say they had like bad high schools. I'm like, high school is like the best time of my life. Literally, I was just so involved with so many stuff that was going on in the school, and many of them being the sport. That just shows like, I guess, I was meant to be in the sport world. But I had to go through the 4 years to know that I could see myself doing all this, because how the coach installed the school spirit in me, I guess. I mean, the sport and school spirit in me. Yeah.
Yeah, that completely makes sense. So through researching Vitria, because I've been reading your articles, you're featured in the Toronto Star, Nike, CBC, I believe as well. And I can't remember which article, but you mentioned that your mom didn't support your basketball career, and I was very curious to why.
Hmm. Yeah, great question. My mother wasn't supportive of it, because she's not used to seeing, I guess, a woman from the Ethiopian culture, or whether that's from the Islamic culture or religious practices. She didn't see other women that looked like me that were actually pursuing this passion of mine. And she wanted me to focus on education, because she brought me here to provide a better life. And at the end of the day, she installed in all of my siblings and myself that education is a key to success. Like that's literally one thing we all knew, was important to her. So we had to ensure that we fulfilled her vision for us. And so she thought me participating in these sports was a distraction from my education. And yeah, so she wasn't supportive at the beginning. And then she realized that I was actually on top of all my stuff while doing these sports. She's like, you know what? Whatever. As long as you're not doing terrible, I'll literally show her my report cards. They were great. She's like, okay, whatever. Like. And then she gave up even asking me, Patricia, where are you gonna be? Where are you? Like, she knows where I'm at. Like, I wouldn't lie to her. That's a relationship I have with her. So I would tell her basketball, basketball. If she was just so tired, she's like, whatever. I don't even care anymore. You don't even have to tell me you're going to basketball. So she wasn't supportive, because she just didn't understand what basketball was doing for me. And as she realized that it was actually helping me, um, just I don't know. I personally think it actually helped me with so many other things, just like being a leader, and being physically fit. And so little did I know that me participating in sport, like I was actually motivated or had more energy to actually finish my schoolwork and whatnot. And yeah, just those little things. I realize that now, but I feel like my mother, due to the lack of knowledge about what a sport could do for me, she wasn't truly understanding of why I was so passionate about it. But now, due to the media attention, all the stuff that I'm doing has gotten, I feel like she finally approved. Like it took a while, even me getting my degree. So like, what are you going to do with this for management degree? Because that's not the tradition, right? That's not the norm. And she wanted us to pursue like a medicine or the traditional career. But hey, I did what I had to do, and when I got the degree, she's like, okay, wow, she actually did, she actually got the degree, you know. So I feel like that's when she actually validated my path. Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting. It's good that your mom supported you while you were going through the process of getting your sport management degree, and then after getting the degree, saying set your mind to something that you want to achieve, which you obviously have because now you're pursuing your master's at Brock. And what has that experience been like for you?
The experience has definitely been interesting. The journey is, yeah, it's a whole different journey. I'm grateful to be here, and I just want to see the final document and see what I'm actually writing, because when you're in the process, it doesn't make sense to you. It's so hilarious. But I feel like COVID and just, I feel like there's just so many things I'm juggling at the same time. But masters, in short, is a very interesting journey. That's all I could say.
Which area of study are you studying?
So I'm doing my research on hijab wearing Muslim female athletes. So the beauty, I guess, is everything that I'm doing kind of connects. They all like connect with each other. So when I'm reading something in like in academic journals, I'm like, oh my goodness, I didn't know this. So like I'm willing to share with, when I'm talking to someone about my advocacy work, because I have this statistic that I read while I'm doing my thesis work. So yeah, that's the beautiful part. Everything is like connecting. They all connect. So yeah, that's a motivation for sure.
Awesome. Now we're switching to what is an amazing initiative, and why you're getting such great media attention for it. So, you are the founder and executive director of Muslim Women's Summer Basketball League.
Mm.
I guess my first question is, how did it start? Like, what was the original idea for it?
Mm, the original idea. So in 29, okay, so the way it, like in the beginning, it was one of those things when I actually got into SPIMA, sport management program. I wrote it down that I wanted to start a basketball league, because in Toronto, I didn't see women's only basketball leagues. I didn't see, it was just, I wasn't even like, the thought wasn't to narrow it down to Muslim women, but it was just like one of those things I wanted to start it up, because that's how passionate about I was about basketball. I am about basketball, and I wanted to contribute to this community by starting up something that would help, other girls that, that wanted to play ball but didn't see a league for them. And it was something I wrote down. So it's one of those things, like I actually write things that I do want to accomplish in life down in a journal. And sometimes I go back and just reflect on, what's in those journals. But in what yeah, so masters, when I got in 2019, when I was starting my masters, I'm like, this grant opportunity came my way. And someone from Hijabi Balders is like, hey, I think this grant would be great, I think you should apply. Because I spoke to, the founder of Hijabi Balders, Amrin Karwa. Hey, like, what do you think if I, so sorry, Hijabi Balders, they have like all year long they have a Sunday drop in basketball. So they have like for 2 to 3 hours they have a drop in basketball session. And at the beginning, like when I wasn't too extremely busy, I was able to like, run a like coach, the few out like just some of the weekends I was able to actually coach and, assist the girls. And yeah, so I told him, hey, like, what do you think of, if I decide to turn this Sunday drop in, during the summer, it actually becomes like a whole summer, like an actual league. So that'd be like from June to like August. So during the summer, it'd be like all these girls that come here, they're gonna make their own team and then compete like for an actual prize, like. So she's like, I love that idea, but I don't want the girls to feel like they have to be committed to this league, because this drop in is there for them, when they just want to like leave their children at home, because there are like actual like women that are participating in the drop-ins. So I don't want them to feel like they have to be committed, but I feel like you could definitely start up something of your own, because there are girls that are here and there are girls that actually played at like the highest level, and they don't have a space to actually play, because they maybe feel too old, or they may feel like they have to like compromise their religion, because this league doesn't understand their beliefs and having to explain themselves. So just like, so there are many reasons as to why they're coming to this drop-in session, not part of a league, right? And So she's like, I think you could definitely do, make it something of your own, and Hijabi Ballas will be willing to support you. And that's how this grant thing came along. Literally a few months later, a city of Toronto they had like the city grant, and it was literally at the beginning of my master's, September. Everything was just like, whoo, like everything was just like hitting me at once. I'm like, oh man, this is a lot. And first year of master's is already like, it's interesting because it's like your first year all over again, like remember first year SPIMA, you're like, what's happening, like what is going on? So that's literally what it was in first year of masters. And when I was like, oh, like I think I definitely want to do this, but like, am I really ready? Because I just started masters, am I going to be able to handle all of this at the same time? And then there were families that are like, yeah, like I don't think you should focus on that, you should do it after you're done your master's so you could fully focus on it. I'm like, so just like so many thoughts, so many opinions, there's just so much going on in my head. So I told myself that if I'm going to apply for the city grant, if I get it, God is telling me that is actually the right time to start it. And yeah, so literally December 31st of 2019, they tell me, congratulations, I got the grant. I'm like, okay, like, all right, I guess it's meant to be. So yeah, so I reached out to the individuals that I already spoken to, that, hey, like, that thing that I told you about, so it's happening. So I just had to confirm with them. And yeah, I would say that's how I began. I know it's like a whole lot going on in it, but in short, it's something that I knew I wanted to start it up because, that's what I wanted for myself. And I actually never had it. And then there's a lot of component that goes into why the league is nonprofit. When I wanted to actually play at like the highest rep level, maybe I wasn't even good, but like I love basketball so much that I was willing to do anything. I was that girl that said ball is life, literally. I'm like, I don't care, ball is life. That's literally what it is, right? So I feel like when you're so committed and focused on something, you can literally do whatever you want, because focus and determination is like something that we lack because we're just distracted every day. But like at that time, there's no social media distracting you, like it was, but like it wasn't, it wasn't the hype. So yeah, and it's nonprofit because financial burden played a big role in terms of me not wanting to ask my mom, because first of all, she didn't even believe in this whole thing that I wanted to do. I didn't want to go and ask her for money. I was still like in grade 11, and finding a job in Toronto was not easy. And yeah, it was just one of those things. And yeah, it's nonprofit because I didn't want anyone to feel like they had to have money to, participate in a sport that they really loved. I didn't want finance to be a big factor. And even the location, I decided to make it in the West End because even the community center that I attended, Seattle's Boys and Girls Club, it was literally Bathurst and DuPont. It was far from my end, from where I lived. So my mom was like, "Are you sure?" Like she was there. Times she didn't want me to come home late because the travel. Like I was taking TTC back. It was just like, anyways, I was considering all those little factors that affected me when I wanted to pursue basketball at the at the higher level, and I couldn't. So I made sure those steps were considered when where the league takes place and how the league actually occurs. Yeah, it's like a long answer, but that's what Muspel is about.
Great answer. It's amazing. It's an amazing story. It really is. And the hardest part, I think, sometimes is when you start something new is kind of selling the vision to the people either involved in the organization or grants for your organization. What was the pitch
Mm.
from you to people getting involved within the league?
This is something I've been telling everyone else that I've been speaking to lately. It's the value of believing yourself first before you could even get anyone else involved. I knew there was literally, now luckily there are actually basketball leagues for girls and women. There's, in Toronto, I don't know about other places in Ontario, Canada, but there are actually leagues for women now. But I knew that when I was playing ball, there was literally none, So I knew that is a niche that was needed, and basketball was growing in Toronto, like, and Canada, and then Raptors winning just put basketball on a whole different map. So um I knew that it was needed, and I remember the challenges I experienced, and I was like, I can't be the only one that went through this challenge and just try to get access to sport. So I believed in my mission, and I believed in the cause. And then when I met Hijabi Ballers, they literally just started up too, and I feel like that made my cause or the what I had, my advocacy, even like wow, legit, because there's this organization that's literally doing what I want to do, and I want to be involved with them as much as I could. And then from there, my opportunity for my league started. So it was one of those things. I was having conversation with myself. I'm like, is it worth it? Like, are people even gonna believe that Muslim women should belong in sport because of this whole stereotype that's out there? And like, why are the people gonna believe in me? But going back to sport, sport gave me that confidence that I needed, and sport gave me that leadership ability that I never thought I could. Being a captain is just like you did. It had a big role, and a big responsibility, and I feel like it helped me become who I am today. Like absolutely, and in terms of the pitch, I believed in the cause. And it was a matter of there are people in the room that didn't believe in like, oh, what is she gonna do? Even when I started up the league, I didn't expect it to get this much attention. But I feel like it's a matter of how passionate or how much do you really believe in your cause? It's a question I ask myself, and I I I guess encourage others that like want to fight for a fight, a cause. Like, do you believe? How much do you really believe in the cause? Because if you don't believe in it as much as you want other people to believe in, they're not gonna believe in you. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's really, really cool. One of the things that you mentioned was there was some people maybe didn't believe in your vision. A mentor of mine has said this a lot, and I truly believe it. That's sport is for everybody. That's one of the things I love about it is that it's for everybody, and so good for you for even though there are those no's in the room. Good for you for keep going because that's really it's great. It really is.
Thank you so much.
So we talked about the stages of developing the league because of COVID. The first season of the league was halted. What are some of the things that you're working on with the league right now and trying to grow this league to the best it can be?
Yeah. Oh, great question. At the beginning of COVID, we're like, oh man, like really, COVID had to stop it. It was sad, but we have to try to find a way to still bounce back, and still benefit from COVID. So we decided to start up a series called Muslim Series Hoopers Around the Globe. And with this series, we decided to highlight individuals that are Muslim basketball players around the globe that are, basketball players, but were never recognized or people didn't know about within their communities, right? So Toronto being, the most diverse and accepting Muslim female athletes and accepting Muslim, like that's the beauty of, Toronto. And but other parts of the world is not the case, right? So they're not accepted, and it's a challenge. It's just them trying to find a space for for themselves to just play this basketball is not easy. So with this series, our goal is to inspire and recognize these Muslim hoopers, that are also basketball players, and I guess showcase them to their communities. And the response has been wonderful. We were sharing their stories, and I feel like we were sharing stories, and the response has been wonderful. And the fact that these individuals that we were sharing stories of came back saying that there's these other individuals from my community that reached out because of you using your platform to share my story. So the response for that has been wonderful, and we're able to just connect different individuals from different parts of the world. And we try to use the social media as to our advantage, and I feel like we're known to a certain degree now, but we still have a long way to go.
Mhm. Fitria, where can people follow you on social media for your organization?
Yes. So it's called Musbil MWSBL underscore. So that's our Instagram. And then my personal is Fitriya.hoops. But I'm sure when you post the story, you could leave it in the caption. But yeah, that's where we are.
Awesome. Last question for you. Where do you want this league to go? What's the future in terms of the growth of it, in terms of the impact it has on society? What's your vision for the future of it?
Right. I love this question because I'm like, who after masters, I feel like I could fully focus on it. So, but I still have a vision. Absolutely. So the goal is to succeed in Toronto. Get the literally. I want to just once I want to see the first season because we got the hype, but I want to actually get to action and let that speak for itself. And then there are individuals in literally different provinces. I talked to someone in Alberta. They're like, "Hey, like I've been trying to do something like this, but I haven't had the motivation or I haven't had the source support." So the fact that there are others that are trying to start something similar is already, an achievement there. Like we accomplished something. So once the league is known here, um, definitely go back to the motherland. I want to go back to Ethiopia and introduce them to basketball. I know a few organizations down there that are hoping to do something around basketball, but I feel like it would mean a lot for the young girls down there to have someone from there, lead a session or have something implemented down there relating to basketball. So it's like most people going to Ethiopia. So that is the plan. And then, yeah, just in what are some of the, I guess, challenges the league hopes to overcome, or just change narratives about Muslim women in sport, change narrative about the religion of Islam, because I feel like the media has done a crazy headline in terms of what the religion of Islam is and what it actually entails. So I want people to see our story and see the positivity in Islam, because Islam is a beautiful religion. I feel like media has just done like a crazy job at portraying this negative aspect, which isn't the truth. And yeah, and then lastly, like women cabal period. Yeah.
Definitely. Just an incredible story. I keep saying it, but it really is. And, the media attention that you're getting for this initiative in your organization is so much deserved. I said to off air, but when my dad sent me your story in the Nike article, I read it like 2 or 3 times and I couldn't believe it. And I'm like,
Mhm.
wow, this is such an incredible story. So thank you for coming on Sport Chat to explain your story and sharing insights. I very much appreciate it. And I think the audience will as well. So thank you so much.
No, thank you so much, Vince, for using your platform to share my story to the louder, to the greater audience. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Fitriya Mohamed, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for watching. Until next time, bye bye.
Bye. Thank you.